All right, we've located our victim. Our rescuer is now making a victim marking away from the trench, approximately 6 to 8 feet. He's going to draw a big V with a large arrow. That's going to give us our reference point to where our victim is located. The rescuer will now come in with a ladder. The ladder, we're going to encourage self-rescue for the victim itself. And the ladder also is going to be for our protection. In case someone were to accidentally fall into the trench or a secondary collapse would happen, we would have that means of egress for us. So we want a ladder in the hole initially. As you can see, rescuers on the other side are putting in our bridging. It's going to span the trench. And basically what we are going to do here is construct somewhat of a scaffolding system. So we are going to be self-supported on this trench edge. The next step in this process, we'll actually start to install our bridging. As you can see, the rescuers will put the bridging, put the planking across our bridging. And they can take long poles and they will actually pull it across, so we're working from the safe side of our trench at all times. Alright, we now have our initial bridging set up. We'll now put additional bridging in. It's going to give us 24 inches of workspace that will be self-supported. And if you can see here how this bridging interlocks. Alright, our initial bridging system is now complete. If you notice, with our bridging spanning the trench and our planking perpendicular to that, if there were to be a secondary collapse, this system here would be self-supporting. As opposed to your traditional ground padding, if there were a secondary collapse, you run the risk of the collapse actually taking the panel and all the rescuers itself into the trench. The rescuers now will start to put in what we call our secondary or auxiliary ground padding. This is the 1/2 inch plywood that we noticed before, and the premise behind this is it will give us a safe and stable area to work in behind our planking, and it will also distribute weights of rescuers and equipment in behind the bridging, and will give us that stable platform to operate from. Alright, this is basically what our completed setup is going to look like. We are using one side of the trench to do all our operations. Typically in a trench situation, you're going to have a large spoil pile, sometimes very close to the trench lip. If we had this situation, what we would do is we would take these spanning planks here and actually drive them into the spoil pile. That's going to make it very stable. And also, you can use 2x12 lumber for your spanning planks if you do not have the aluminum available. Alright, also, to secure our bridging in place, we can do some tiebacks and some picketing on this, which will keep this planking from sliding back and forth, especially if it's raining, if you have wet or icy conditions. Simply just form a loop in the rope, slide it over your planking, you just simply drive a picket. Now we'll lock this in place with the second picket in behind the bridging. And that will lock these panels in place so they cannot move back or they cannot move forward.